YouTube. Hello, how you doing? That's a rhetorical question, don't answer that. So, today we're going to discuss something that is perhaps on the mind of several million people. A little bit of anxiety for some of them, a percentage of them. And what we're talking about here is the destructive potential of AI for the human race, the human species, or even the planet. For those of you who are not familiar with AI stands for, it's an acronym for Artificial Intelligence. This is the idea, much like The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, where machines become intelligent and may even become more intelligent than we are. So, rightfully, this potential scenario puts fear in the heart of many people and money in the pockets of movie producers. You see, The Matrix is a perfect example of this kind of scenario of what can happen, where we as human beings with our ever growing and expanding and refined technology reaches a point where the machines we created to become our servants instead become our masters and eventually just control us. So it's pretty obvious that we're going to reach eventually a point where the intelligence of these computers will match us or even surpass us. But the idea is, what will happen? Will we all die? Will we all feel like we're going to be trapped in the Matrix? Or will something else happen that's more positive? Well, doing research into the phenomenon known as, or the research program known as Embodied cognition, gives an insight to this problem of what I'm going to call the problem of evil AI, or the problem of cold calculated AI, like kind of this disembodied awareness that it ruthlessly and without any heart calculates and makes its decisions. So if it sees a certain living thing as an obstacle, it has no connection to it in that on that level and just gets whatever it needs without any remorse. So I think embodied cognition has something to say to this. So just to review very briefly, embodied cognition is the view that your thoughts and your thought processes, the things that go on traditionally in just your mind, actually happen in your body as well and in the environment, and that the environment and body are as important to your thoughts as your actual brain is. So understanding that, when applied to technology, embodied cognition becomes a certain kind of program for a robot. So to contrast embodied cognition with a more traditional way of programming robots, as a way of clarifying all of this, we could think of older programs using something called a central executive module or subsystem in the. I mean, I'm not a computer scientist, so I don't know this stuff that well, but I know basically what I need to know. And so there's this part of the system that acts like a central executive, which means it's like a central controller, and it directs all the other parts, and those parts are subordinate to this superordinate boss, right? It's almost like a boss with his employees doing what he wants. And so that's how the old way of programming robots are. The new way instead has the embodied cognition way is different, and what instead there is no central executive, and nothing is done in a linear way. It's all like, well, I'm sorry for using the word like, but it's all different parts all coming together in kind of like a gestalt way, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and it's non-linear, so you can't trace it easily, and they're interacting all at once and creating something, and that something is behavior, right, or action in the robot. So to show the efficacy and how much real world application, which translates into the fact that this may be a correct or more correct mental model, we can contrast two kinds of robots that actually use each kind of program, the old and the new. So if you're familiar with the brand Honda, they have a robot called Asimo, ASIMO, and there's a couple of videos on YouTube, at least two, that show the robot falling or malfunctioning. And this shows that the robot, instead of interacting with its environment directly, it has a mental map of its environment, and it's working from that mental map, and it just hopes that everything lines up correctly. And that's the central executive controls that map. But as you can see, if the environment is slightly off the map or slightly different, everything can go wrong. Now, another robot that uses this embodied cognition way of programming is actually was created by the DARPA, the part of the U.S. government, Department of Defense, DARPA. They hired a laboratory called this is interesting. I'll hear the music for a second. Okay, it's called I'm doing all this from memory. I'm not even gonna look it up. Just gonna remember what it is. Well, okay, but they made this robot here. Boston Dynamics. There we go. I came up with that on my own. I did not look that up. But yeah, so Boston Dynamics created a couple of robots using this kind of program. And one of them is actually pretty famous. It's gone viral on YouTube and other platforms. You have Atlas, which looks like a huge person, kind of humanoid robot. You have Big Dog. You have, I believe, a cat, one with a cat name. And the point of this is that these robots, whether they're on 4 legs or 2 legs, are very adaptable to their environment. So if you were to, as one of these robots are walking or strolling by, you were to kick it and try to get it off, try to kick it down on the ground, it would actually stabilize itself. This kind of dynamic behavior shows that the program is actually much more suited and adaptable into an environment, much like an actual brain, rather than the older program that has it, having to line up mental models mental maps or cognitive maps to line up with actual reality. So, knowing that embodied cognition may be the future of robotics because of this kind of, if the U.S. government, the Department of Defense, which has a huge budget, which is probably the only part of the government that's taken super seriously by most of the people in it, would not, if they feel that this is good enough to spend their money on, then we can be assured that this may be the future of how robotics are done. So concerning that, we can see that artificial intelligence, or the artificial intelligence that will become at our level, would probably be in an embodied cognition format. And if so, it would need to have some sort of body or interaction with the environment that is grounded in some kind of, it being in the world directly, not having a mental model and then hoping that it lines up, but being in the world directly. So knowing that, we can assume that it's not going to be some disembodied cold calculator devoid of feeling and emotion, but instead it may need emotion in order to create higher order thoughts, right, or complex thoughts. And so we can be assured that it may actually have or be capable of feelings such as empathy and forgiveness and compassion. And this gives us hope, because if the embodied cognition thesis is true, and that thoughts are as dependent on computational models that are abstract as much as that as on your emotions and your hormonal systems and the fact that your body's shaped in a certain way with 2 arms and 2 legs, all these things may play a huge role in how you're able to think, and then if we can, and how you're able to have intelligence. So we see that the robot will need all these things in order to achieve intelligence at our level or surpassing our level, and then it can be capable of all these human emotions. But it's a double-edged sword, because the reverse is also true. Humans are capable of much destruction. So it could be true that the AI can become much more destructive just for the sake of being destructive, like some humans are, rather than being cold calculating and just having goals and seeing killing whatever it's in its way. So that may be a bad note to end on, but we can be assured that, much like how the normal human population doesn't show a bunch of serial killers everywhere, we can be assured that most of the robots we make will be compassionate and caring of life, like most people are. And so that's basically what embodied cognition has to say about, or at least what I think it has to say about, the problem of an evil, disembodied artificial intelligence that will have, not care a thing about us and completely have no empathy or not capable of compassion. No, that's wrong, because the embodied cognition view of programming shows that the body, or having a body, is important for the robot to act in the world, and that in order to have higher order thoughts, psychological experiments show that bodies do play a huge role in higher order thoughts, even abstract thoughts. So we can see that if the robot would achieve a state close to us in intelligence, it would need things like a body and maybe even hormones or things that replicate hormones, and be in a world, and that we can be ensured that it could have the same kinds of feelings that we do, because the emotions are as important as what neurons are firing, and that the feelings in the body are as important, and postures. So I have hope that embodied cognition will become the spear that pierces into the realm of artificial intelligence and its potential. And I believe that because it's in the body, it will have many of the feelings we have and care. So, that's basically it. I just wanted to share that with everyone, and let us know that the AI doesn't have to be big, scary, or completely disembodied from everything, but it can be warm and friendly and compassionate, just like many humans are. So that concludes the talk. We're going at 14 minutes here, so that's pretty good, not too long. So thank you all for listening. I would appreciate comments or feedback. If you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself or something. No, I'm just kidding. You can dislike it. That's why everything here is transparent, and you have the power. You have the power. So yes, comment, feedback, questions, all appreciated. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a good one.